Now let's take you to 37, where some Ghanaians, among other issues, fume at drivers and traders who have refused to reduce their price of their wares even after fuel prices reduced more than 10%. They think some people are profiteering at the expense of their customers. Take a listen.
The fact is, the whole world is experiencing hardship. It's not only in Ghana. We even import matches and toothpick. So why will things not be hard for us? The government is not at fault here, so we shouldn't blame them.
And this is how complain be say na Ghana here. I come na bed and I say mo the polytechnic in our university. I didn't hear because on Nyansa no wo. Nyansa na ni university I need Lagos no. Watenka school mu. Ho na be sua de free onsa no. Ene wadwen mu. Na so want me anya bibia obaida na watimi akọ.
The individuals are not helping us as a country. They say the depreciation of the cities is going low, but people are also taking advantage of the economy. For instance, when you go out to a place to buy something that is sold for 2 cedi 50 pesos, someone else sells it for 3 cedis. You know, sometimes we blame the government, but the individuals also play a part in this. And I think the government should, develop something to check the pricing system in the country.
The youth unemployment rate in our current situation is worse, and from the government's budget, chances are there won't be employment opportunities for the youth in the coming year. And so if there are any interventions, I would like to suggest that we would help the youth to take opportunity of the online economy, the creative economy, and make the most out of it. And things should be relaxed such that people can take advantage of the online economy, because things are really hard in this country, and for us to make headway, that would help a lot. So these are my thoughts, and I'm hopeful that those in authority will see to this and they will act on it, because a lot more can be done for the youth, and it's about time that is done. Else we would continue to see brain drain from every aspect of our economy, because the youth can't take it anymore, and it's time something be done about it.
The
roads are in deplorable state. It has therefore made traveling very difficult and stressful for us. We are pleading with the MP to fix things for us and not wait till election time.
The price of oil is really expensive now. I used to fry fish and sell on the market, but I wasn't getting anything. So I now sell something else.
Now everything is expensive, from petrol to diesel, transport and even food. Christ, we can't bear this anymore.
The issue of transportation, fuel is, I think, has been reduced. You know, fuel is an inelastic commodity, and it's partially affects any sector of the economy, because fuel plays key role in production. And so once fuel prices has been reduced, I think producers should also take into consideration and reduce the prices of their commodities.
At first, a unit of meat pie was 2 cedis and 3 cedis, but now it's 5 cedis and 7 cedis. And now no one wants to buy.
Now, labor unions in the country's public universities have suspended the industrial action indefinitely. This follows an assurance by their employer to resolve all outstanding issues related to their conditions of service. The labor unions, UTAG, GAWA, Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana, FUSAG, and the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, declared an industrial action on the 17th of October 2022 over their conditions of service. According to the leadership of the unions, their employer has now accepted that it had unilaterally varied their conditions of service of staff of public universities without recourse to them. We're joined through Zoom, on Zoom, by the President of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, Professor Solomon Nunu, for more on this. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. What concrete things have you had for you to then accept what your employer is telling you? Okay, so we will be speaking to Professor Nunu shortly, but the story is that they have now, called off their industrial action indefinitely. They are citing the fact that their employer has now agreed to abide by whatever they were saying. They are saying that the employer says it unilaterally varied their conditions of service without them in the know, and that's why they are calling it off. But let's bring you the full statement that they brought out this morning. Now, the labor unions in the public universities in Ghana, that is UTAG, GAWA, the Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana, FUSAG, and TEU Ghana, declared an industrial action on Monday, 17th October 2022. Since the declaration of the industrial action, since the declaration of that industrial action, according to them, leadership has engaged the employer and the National Labour Commission on several occasions to address the impasse. At a meeting held on Thursday, 8 December 2022, the employer accepted that it had unilaterally varied the conditions of service of staff of public universities without recourse to them. Now, Professor Solomon Nunu has joined us again now on phone. Prof, grateful that you could join us. Earlier, before you declared the strike, you were saying that until you get concrete actions from your employer, you're not going to call this off. Have you had that? That's why you're calling this off?
Yeah. Good morning to you and your listeners. So basically, when we cleared the strike, that is exactly what we said until we see concrete steps. As captured in our statement that you read, you'll notice that the employer has now made some commitments towards certain payments that need to be done starting from this month. So we took all of those things into consideration and then came to the conclusion that it's important that we suspend the strike at this the strike action at this time, and that is why you are seeing this statement circulating at the moment.
Okay, but I mean, there were several things that you were demanding for. Have all of those been addressed, or some portions of those have been addressed, and that's why you're doing this?
So the main thing that caused us to declare the strike action has to do with the off-campus and vehicle maintenance allowances. So these two allowances were varied, and that created the need for the strike action. Since then, these ones, we have come to an agreement for a restoration, or should I say, yes, for it to be fixed now. So that is why we are suspending it. But that notwithstanding, we have several other conditional service-related issues hanging. And that's why in the statement, we also came to an agreement that it's important that the employer begins engagement for us to address the number of these things. Number one, if you take UTAC, for example, we have our ESA that has been outstanding for some time now. So that also is ending this December. So the question is, beyond December, what happens with this particular allowance? What is the employer doing to resolve the main problem that has to do with problems with the single sign salary structure? So it's important that the employer looks at it. Another general one also that affects all the 5 unions mentioned has to do with issues related to our Tier 2 pension. You'll notice that Tier 2 pensions were deducted from 2010 to 2016. These monies were not forwarded to our pension fund managers. So per the law, it means that there should be an accrued interest that should be paid by the government. The law says that this accrued interest should be 3% per month. As we speak, government has only paid the principal without the interest payment. So that also is another outstanding issue. If come in again, there are other outstanding condition of service issues that relate to all the unions concerned here. And we came to a conclusion that from this January, that is January 2023, government is going to commence action to get those issues also addressed.
We understand there's a meeting between you and the Labour Commission this morning. Can you confirm exactly that for us, and what will be the issue on the table now?
Okay, so basically we are back at the Labour Commission to come and report that yes, the main issue that left the strike action has been addressed considerably, for which reason we are suspending the strike action. So this industrial action has been suspended per the statement. But like we mentioned, there are a number of condition of service issues that we want to bring to the attention of the Commission again. So we are bringing it to the attention of the Commission that they should intervene to help us to bring finality to all of them as well. You know, these untoward industrial actions do not help anybody. It doesn't help with our productivity in this country. And it's always important that the government side or the employer should work very hard to address these things as quickly as possible so that it doesn't degenerate to this state.
All right, I'm grateful, Prof. But if I can get your thoughts on this one quickly, the Ghana and the IMF have gotten a staff level agreement. One of the issues that people are talking about is the fact that workers' pensions will be affected. We've not heard from UTAG. Are you okay with the arrangement, or you also do have some issues with the decision to,
Yes. This one, actually, we have issued a statement to it. That last week we issued a statement to that effect. And we stated categorically that UTAG pensions are not supposed to be part of that. Because you look at pension funds, it's money that I'm accruing for my retirement. Then you know, mostly in retirement time, these are the times you have all the ailments you can think about. You know, after 40 years, you have all sort of health conditions coming in, and you need this money to take care of yourself. By that one, also, you've invested your money for certain things. Maybe somebody wants to build, somebody wants to have a certain kind of monthly subsistence when the person is on pension. And you can't be using these investments for the haircut or whatever name they are calling it. So yes, UTAG have risen to that effect. Our goals, most of us have invested our money with these bonds, and it's important that we get this one settled. So we are happy also that the DUC has decided to look at this. In fact, on Monday, DUC, we are going to have a meeting to look at it holistically so that we can come out and then take. But you know that it is something that shouldn't be touched, and we are not happy with government deciding to go there. And if they have done that, it's important that they re-look at their decision. And otherwise, the labor unions will be forced to take action, and UTAG will not be exempted from that action.
Well, the minister yesterday put a plea to you that consider the economy and let's build together. Wouldn't you listen to that plea, put the economy first, and look at how we can all get out of where we are to make sure we build a resilient economy?
Yes, the economy must be considered. And you know, they formed this Ghana something, where
the Social Partnership Council?
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, the Social Partnership Council. I don't know if that's what you're
Exactly, yes. And they made available about 5 billion Ghana cedis to that effect. So, we have asked a number of questions. That this fund that has been made available, how is it going to be administered? Who are the fund managers? This fund that we have also done. Have we done our projections for us to determine that maybe every year we are going to have maybe 1,000, 10,000 workers going on retirement? If the fund is made available to the fund managers, will it be enough to pay the pensions of these people? These are legitimate questions that we believe we need to look at. And like we stated, we are ready to sit and judge with government to find lasting solutions to these problems. And we think it's important that the government will let us look at this. For us, we are not against anything that will fix the economy. Remember that if the economy is fixed and my salary is not depreciating, I wouldn't even think of any labor administration because at the end of the day, I'm fine and my pocket is okay. But here is the case that the very savings I have made for the rainy day is also being taken away from me. That is the question, and that is the funny issue we need to find answers to.
Prof, I'm grateful that you could join us this morning. Professor Solomon Nodo is the president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. Now, to other stories, the Trades and Industry Committee has put on hold the approval of 80 million cedis allocated for the construction of the National Cathedral. The allocation, which was made to the Ministry for Tourism, has failed to go through the committee because MPs want more answers from the minister. According to Tamale Central MP, until the committee is satisfied, they will not approve the ministry's estimate without the allocation made to it. They will approve the estimate without the allocation made to the cathedral.
What the committee decided was that, one, we cannot just approve this 80 million for you. We must know how the other 339 million was spent. Because like I told you, when we are looking at budget estimates, we have a duty as the legislature to hold the executive accountable. In
terms of what you've approved previously.
Exactly. Even if we didn't, they did it illegally, but we have a mandate now to find out, is the taxpayers' money. How did you spend the 339 million? What did it constitute? The 80 million you want us to approve. How did that 80 million find space in the budget line of the Ministry of Tourism when the minister and the directors could not speak to the questions we were asking? Two, what constitute the 80 million, Ghana cedis you want us to approve? Give us the breakdown. Three, what role did you play in coming out with that? Of course, the minister will not be in the position to answer the earlier two questions. How the 330 million was spent. Those who expended the money, we are inviting them. We are inviting the Secretariat to come and explain to us, and possibly the Minister for Finance to come and explain to us how they spend those monies. If not, it should be unquestionable that we go ahead to approve this. And
So for now, you put eyes on it?
Yes, we demanded the committee.
Taking a decision?
No. How will I explain to the people of Tamale Central that yes, the 80 million was added into the Ministry of Tourism budget? I didn't ask questions. I didn't find out whether the minister and the ministry participated in coming out with that budget line. I didn't even find out the breakdown of that 80 million. I didn't also find out how the 339 million Ghana cedis was already spent, and out of it, how about 25 million Ghana cedis was given to a so-called, international acclaimed architect. So you don't rob money to build it. You want to make money at the expense of people using God as a basis. It's wicked.
Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed also alleged that the allocation was imposed on the ministry by the presidency without the knowledge of the minister and technocrat and the ministry. He explains why.
The budgets are done through the agencies. You have a budget planning committee of every ministry, and the agencies under the ministry would also plan their budget. They then have a committee to look at the individual agency budgets, and that is conglomerated to give you the ministry budget, including, of course, the budget of the ministry itself. So every aspect of the budget that is presented by the minister on behalf of the ministry and the agencies that the minister is supervising over, that minister must have the information on his fingertips, and therefore he must speak to each of them because they are all agencies. When we realized that the cathedral, the 80 million cedis, is in the Ministry of Tourism, we asked simple questions. We wanted to find out from the minister whether he made an input in the planning, the calculation of the budget, and what they were going to do, for which reason the 80 million Ghana cedis for the cathedral is found in the ministry budget. The minister could not explain. And I remember I wanted to find out from the chief director, because he's the head of the technical people within the ministry, whether they participated in coming out with the budget. Because the minister ought to know, the chief director ought to know. You can't just allow anybody to put any budget on your minister and says 80 million. They could not give us any response. Again, we wanted to find out from the minister, how did they award the contract? Of course, you could not falter the minister for the amount of money that have been spent already, because when they were spending the 339 million Ghana cedis, it was not under the Ministry of Tourism. But we want to know this amount of money, how they arrive at that. Again, when we look at the agencies under the Ministry of Tourism, they could not tell us under which agency is the cathedral project is going to fall, because it must fall under a particular agency. If it is not directly under the Ministry of Tourism, we can't find it under any of the agencies, then it must as well they should keep it in the office of the president. Is it the case that it was imposed on the minister and the ministry from the Flagstaff House? And I get the sense that was what happened, because if it wasn't imposed on the ministry, the minister or the chief director and the directors who were all there, including all the directors of the agencies or heads of the agencies, they should have been able to provide us with the answers. They couldn't do that. So it is ridiculous, to be very honest with you, to have that under the budget line of the Ministry of Tourism, yet the minister and the directors cannot speak to it. That is just ridiculous.
Meanwhile, you may recall comment by Ochehene that the cathedral must be built so as not to bring shame to President Akufo-Addo, who made that promise to the Christian community. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed has a response.
I don't know whether I should cry or I should laugh. Look, I'm a royal and I have so much respect for chiefs. But to be very honest, I think that when Karl Marx said that religion was the opium of the masses, I think the traditional authorities now is becoming the opium of the masses. I mean, how on earth could anyone argue this way? The biggest cathedral in Ghana is in my constituency. The biggest cathedral. And I remember even as a Muslim growing up, that's where we used to go. We used to go to watch, movies of Jesus Christ, and you had a lot of young people going there. Now, I have heard the argument that is being made that yes, it is a tourist attraction. On what basis are we going to get in tourist attraction? You think that someone will leave Bethlehem and leave those,
They want to build
those?
a Bible
I'm saying,
museum.
please, I'm coming. Bible museum. Even the Bible itself tells you the best thing that pleases God is to help improve the living conditions of people. You think that God will be happy with this? The best thing to do to please God is to reduce poverty, is to eschew corruption, because these are vices that God himself would not tolerate, is to reduce poverty, to create jobs, to ensure that there is peace and harmony, there's security, safety of the people. That is what God asks you to do. God didn't ask you that you should build cathedral at the expense of the survival of people. So if someone tells me, and you have a traditional, a very respectful or respected traditional leader who says that we shouldn't bring shame. So we shouldn't bring shame at the expense of our survival. So because of avoiding shame, people must rob in the name of God. You think God will be happy? I think that God is angry with this government.
And it is the final countdown to the NDC national elections this weekend. And with Asiedun Kete, the incumbent general secretary, seeking higher offers, others are stepping up to replace him. One of them is former sports minister Elvis Afriye Ankra, who is facing a tough contest against two key formidable contenders. In today's build-up, Samuel Mbura focuses on his chances.
Opponents will attack his record as sports minister. Elvis Afriye Ankra famously cried before the committee that probed the Black Stars' shambolic and scandal-filled participation at the 2014 World Cup that has done little do to quench his passion for NDC internal political leadership. He showed his mettle as NDC Election 2020 Director of Elections, giving the Electoral Commission little rest.
And we are telling them that Ghana is not other countries. If they think that they can be manipulated and influenced as happened in other countries to manipulate the electoral system, then they should be ready for what is coming.
He is popularly remembered in the 2020 elections for his infamous announcement that the NDC was flipping some parliamentary seats at a time the EC was still collating results.
Preliminary results trickling in shows a very exciting outlook. We have flipped Lejokuku. We have flipped La Dade Kotopong. We have flipped Tema East. We have flipped Adenta. 99% of these are not skirt and blouse votes, so it reflects in the presidential. So if we flip all these seats, nobody should tell you where we are heading towards. It's very clear. Parliamentary candidates, executives, regional constituency party executives go to the coalition centers and support our coalition agents.
He was, however, shocked after the declaration of results by the EC.
Me as director of elections,
we were three of us monitoring the results. Myself, Sami Jenfi, and Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, our national chairman. We saw the manipulation coming in. We were really shocked. It even made me to fall sick. To his critics who accuse him, of supervising a shambolic NDC internal election results coalition, this is his response to you.
We had our results, and the flag bearer and the entire leadership were briefed. Beyond that, results were collated from constituencies. If we didn't collate results, how then could we know that we had 137 seats? So anybody at our level who says that results were not collated is either very ignorant, should not come near leadership, or is full of mischief, because you should know.
But why does Elvis Efriye Ankra really want to be the General Secretary of the NDC?
I'm ready for this job. I've been prepared for it. I've gone through the mill. And so I'm the best person for the job of General Secretary to help position the party properly for the battle in 2024 and the victory of 2024.
Elvis Efriye Ankra will come up against formidable opponents in Dr. Peter Boama Otokono and Fifi Kwete. This week, your election headquarters will examine his other contenders who are determined to give him a run for his money, because it is going to be a tough contest. For Joy News, Samuel Mbura.
Well, the Ghana cedi keeps making a strong push against US dollar as it gains more value to offset initial losses. For watchers of the local currency and its impact on the economy, the development, if sustained, will mean well for the country's future in restoring the economy. It is the reason they would recommend concrete and drastic measures by government halt the free fall of the cedi even after the Christmas break. Dr. Priscilla Chum is one of such economists imploring government to be proactive in protecting the Ghana cedi, given the inroads it has made in the last couple of weeks. She spoke on the AM show.
Staff level agreement has come in time, and so it gives an indication that Ghana is on track to get an IMF program. But when you read the statement, you know that with staff level agreement, they would come here and look through the books, consult all stakeholders, and find out whether Ghana is on a good path in terms of particularly our debt levels have to be sustainable. And so Ghana has presented quite a detailed debt exchange program on the domestic front. And there is also the expectation that there will be some debt restructuring on the foreign front as well. And so before the country can get a board level, a full-blown program, it means that Ghana needs to show that the debt levels have been brought to sustainable path. And then in the medium term, I believe that the target is about 55.5% of GDP. And so all the debt restructuring and what government is doing is trying to show that it's on a path to getting the debt levels sustainable. But the condition really is that government is facing a lot of pushback on the domestic front, particularly when you look at issues and statements that labor unions have issued out there, the threats for strike action. There's a lot of pushback. And it comes back to the fact that probably the consultations did not go on well before the announcement of these programs. Because if indeed people were involved and knew what was at stake, then I think that if you are sitting at the table and at the end of the day an agreement is reached and you come out to say, no, you do not agree, probably that would be in bad taste. So the responsibility now is on government to be able to convince stakeholders who at this point are on the losing end, in the sense that people invested, fund managers invested with anticipation of a certain return. Now, implicitly, they are having to take reduced values in terms of the proposals for the debt restructuring. So at the end of the day, the buck stops with government, and any delays in reaching agreements with the debt restructuring on the domestic front could possibly lead to a delay in Ghana obtaining a full program, a board level agreement with respect to the IMF program.
Now, Director of Welfare at Guta, Benjamin Yeboah, who also featured on the same show, also had this to say.
I mean, if you bought items at a particular price, it will be difficult for you to reduce lesser than your cost price. I mean, it's natural. So that is the problem we are facing as traders now. So the way the things shot up, which we thought it was abnormal, the same way it is coming down in terms of the Cedi-dollar relationship. Now the dollar is tumbling. I mean, if you go to some forex bureaus, they will tell you they don't even have the cedis to change your dollar. We checked yesterday, and that was what was going on. So yes.
Wait. You're saying forex bureau are saying they don't have CDs to change for your dollars.
Yes, I checked personally, and you go to shop, they will tell you they don't even have the CDs for you to, change your dollar. So that is what is also happening. Benjamin, these kind of things, people were saying at that time when the dollar was shooting up, that speculations can also drive such things. And therefore, what is happening can also be reduced to be safe. So that is the uncertainty that is on that market now. And definitely as traders, we are all being careful. Yes, we appeal to our members that if there's a possibility of doing some reduction because Christmas is near and,
Now, residents of Asante Mampon and adjoining communities are at risk using a ditch-riddled road linking a part of the Ashanti region to the northern part of the country. Locals allege at least 2 people have died as a result of the deadly nature of the road. Drivers must now carefully cross a major ditch on a stretch or take a somewhat longer route through Asante Mampon. There's more in this report.
It's a perilous journey for motorists using the Mampon route to the northern part of the country. The major road to Ejura, Atebubu, Yeji, and other communities connecting the Ashanti to the Bunu East region is now riddled with this huge gully filled with water. Unknown to this driver, he was left with no option than to wade through the muddy water.
5 months.
5 months ago, the ditch wasn't this deep. This is a main road which has been disconnected. It is worrying. I beg those in authority to fix this. The ditch is a tributary of the Tatafro stream, one of the 5 water bodies running through Asante Mampon. The road is now left deteriorating. A more dangerous observation on the route is the absence of a caution signage.
They have to turn.
Most vehicles meet the ditch instantaneously. They have to turn. Some even plunge into it. We have to pull them out. Earlier this year, a vehicle carrying shipments from Kumasi bumped into it one evening. He died along with his attendant.
The driver passed on and his attendant also passed on.
For the past 4 months, motorists, including heavy trucks, use an alternatively longer route through the town center, but the route, according to residents, is unsafe.
Now, life in remote communities without electricity is quite difficult, particularly for essential service providers such as health workers. Living in Jantwa Chrome, a farming community in the Wasa Amenfi West municipality of the Western region, is a typical example. An SHS graduate, however, is bringing his ingenuity to bear to change the narrative. He's using a chamfan machine to power Jantwa Chrome, and I've been there to visit the community and check out how things are. And this is what my cameras captured. So it's deep in the night here in Jantwa Chrome. It's a farming community in the Amenfi West district of the Western region. They are enjoying a FIFA football game, but the interesting thing is they are enjoying it without power from the ECG, but power generated in this community with the help of some farm machines. Without that, this whole community will be without power. After getting to know the power the community members were using was not from the national grid, I decided to check up at the chips compound in this community to find out more. I meet Ben Mieza, the in charge at the Jantua Chrome Chips compound.
When you talk of delivering health service, first of all, most of the things that people tend to affect people happens in the night. So, for instance, somebody goes to work, get injured, or maybe a woman goes into labor in the night. Those things happens in the night, and that time there is no light. So sometimes somebody will come heading vaginal delivery. You have to use torch to conduct the delivery. Maybe somebody gets injured. You want to help the person. You have to use torch. So it's very challenging. In doing that, it breaks our back.
He also confirms there is no electricity in the community, but with Chamfa machines, they are able to get power at the facility.
There's no light in this community, so people who live here want to make life comfortable for themselves. So individuals who have money have gone to purchase a machine called Chamfan that they have connected it to a meter that converts chemical energy to electrical energy. So it's their private use, and the head of the community, because of the work we do, they've gone to see them to provide that electro light. So when the light is on, they give us a letter. When they put it off, we are off.
Mieza tells me, however, that the power can only stay on for just a few hours.
It's three. At first we were getting about 6 hours, but because of the diesel, the amount of the diesel that you have to use and the cost, they have reduced it to 3 hours. So that is what we are managing for now. So they put it on around 6, at 9 to go off, and the rest is history.
So I meet up with this 22-year-old Gabriel Isaka, a general arts graduate whose effort powers this small community and the chips compound.
Pacho, we have a community asina light no, as a access to electricity no, and do and you may say I say I assume. Nti enema adwin bi wa se wokoto sa chamfa machine na we suma amateur ebetimi produce light no. Nti enema say try ahwe. Nti try nso na kama ebetimi produce light no. E community ni nyina.
He explains why he's not able to produce power for the chips compound and by extension the community the whole 24 hours in a day.
Nti ebedu maybe one say omu 2 diesel nti na ama like o kasa o produce from anopa to anwumre na untimi cost no ebe high. Nti sisia no akwa say be anwumre esum time kwa na ebetimi aide aso ede amom. Eson from 6 p.m.
Okay.
Nti enkobo 11 p.m. na by that time no be upon na yakwa kodum no.
Isaka says the increment in the price of diesel is making him run at a loss nowadays.
For about 5 years.
Wow. And you know, what Jeff Obia saying?
First, no, na ye. Once we use depending and the amount we use no fear. Say Bob no anyway no kwa first na a week no na 25 cedis a week. And as no the way diesel no as a cost from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. no o kasa o ye no 46 a week na entimi. Nti sisi anama ye na like we no e wo de ye hu kom mo. Nti no 40 cedis a week no from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. The week in West Nam who come at least a week piano, Mimitia light bay 500 Ghana cities. That is almost 40 cities now or Mumutiano. Every week.
Surprisingly, for him, it is not much about making profit, but helping his community.
Also we na kasa yes the boa community no nti wo kasa wo yes on say na dodo na wo so nti 40 cities no kra na mo say ne boa dinti bebre na ja yusu the ma me 40 cities no on say the time no mu nyina wo so no na dodo wo so nti me calculate the ebia week ni say na me yusu nti me calculate na me divide mo obi anti obi free so no wo kasa wo che da kan de gu we mu so na omo su say e wo soro nti na say bia me jan say na me fa kana e ba no.
Young Gabriel Isaka is, however, looking forward to a brighter day for him to continue his education.
Timiwe na say mwa bia mfiri bia mantino ase me pese mtra fi na me adwuma kakra nsa na manya sika to aso.
Sound of the Chamfa machine producing power for the hundreds of people in the Jantua Chrome community here in the Amenfi West district, or installed and managed by a 22-year-old boy, SHS graduate of this community. The people here are excited by this innovation by this young man. His dream is to expand it, but the cost of diesel is shattering that dream. From Jantua Chrome in the Amenfi West District, Western Region, for Joy News, I am Samuel Kojo Brace. And we'll take a quick break here. We'll bring you business afterwards. Stay with us.
Welcome to business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Government has justified its recent increase in budgetary allocation for the Ghana Audit Service, arguing that it will enable the service deliver diligently on its mandate. Speaking at the annual District Auditors Conference, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia maintained that it is imperative for the audit service to be adequately resourced with logistics to function effectively and efficiently. He added that the government is committed to ensuring that the audit service continues to operate independently. Here's a report.
Addressing auditors at the annual District Auditors Conference 2022, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia expressed government resolve in ensuring the Ghana Audit Service is adequately resourced to carry out its constitutional mandate to protecting the public purse while curbing corruption.
Government has also increased the budgetary allocations to all accountability institutions of state, including Parliament, the Judiciary, SHRAJ, IOCO, Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, the Auditor General's Office, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Ghana Police Service. To further boost the fight against corruption, deficits in logistics and personnel of the law enforcement agencies, especially the Ghana Police Service and other accountability institutions, are being addressed. In fact, we've increased them significantly.
Delivering the keynote address, National Security Minister Albert Kandapaa called for more strategic reforms aimed at eliminating long procedural processes and surcharging officials cited in the Auditor General's report for various financial malfeasance.
I believe that we must find a way to synchronize the work of the Auditor General, Parliament, and the Public Accounts Committee in a manner that benefits all. Rather than overlook Parliament in the exercise of disallowance and surcharge, I think reforms aimed at expediting actions by the leadership of Parliament or the reports submitted by the Public Accounts Committee should be aggressively pursued. And such reforms, when successful, I think would eliminate the lags between the time that the Auditor General submits its report to Parliament and the time that it takes for Parliament to respond.
Fred Yabuadame called for collaboration among various agencies to help minimize corrupt activities at public institutions.
There ought to be enhanced cooperation between the Auditor General and the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. These two institutions are at the forefront of the fight for public accountability, probity, rule of law, and the rooting out of corruption and malpractices in Ghana, and therefore have no choice but to collaborate. To achieve this, I have set up a special team in my ministry, which will be specifically assigned for the purpose of coordinating the Auditor General and following up on all relevant information required from the Auditor General. Action must be taken to promptly recover all losses the state has suffered and continues to suffer.
The 2022 Annual District Auditors Conference was under the theme Disallowance and Surcharge, the Role of District Auditors.
Now, tax policy expert Dr. Alex Ampabeng is demanding that government implements tax laws on digital services to generate more revenue for the country. According to him, government needs to embrace digital taxation to fully realize their digitalization agenda. Here's more in this report.
Civil society organizations held a post-budget forum on the 2023 budget presented by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. The group indicated that government missed the opportunity to introduce a digital service tax in the budget as they suggested ahead of the reading. Speaking for the group, Dr. Alex Ampabeng reiterated the need for government to take advantage of every avenue to generate more revenue to salvage the economic crisis.
I think there's a bit of a challenge ahead, and all of us do appreciate it. I mean, if you look at government's macro fiscal decisions they are taking recently, clearly the country is going through a very, very difficult time. But one thing from our side, we believe that government makes a very good opportunity in terms of revenue generation. We made a submission to the government on introducing a digital service tax, which other countries like Kenya are doing. And from the year till now, they have generated over 5 million, taxing some of those multinational and the tech giants. As it stands now, you can go to YouTube, you can Facebook, you can buy stuff from Gigi, Jumia, Tonaton, all the adverts. They are generating money from Ghana, but government gets nothing out of it. The world has moved on. Most countries have moved into digital taxation, but we are still interested in taxing the brick and mortar. We think it is time for the government to be up, embrace the changes in technology, and adopt some of the efficient ways of generating revenue.
Africa Program Officer for Natural Resource Governance Institute, Dennis Jayuri, also urged government to devise an alternative revenue generation source to fund its flagship program, Free SHS, other than revenue generated from oil production.
And that business sports is coming up next, so stay tuned.
So welcome back from the break. Time for us to bring you sports, and the man Lawrence is here. Well, I'll just go straight ahead and hand over to him. Lawrence, good morning.
I want us to start with something.
I'm not even looking at you.
I want us to start with something. Being a Ronaldo fan, how did you feel watching Lionel Messi mesmerize his play, caress the ball like the way he did yesterday?
I'll try to say a comment I made to a post on Facebook. I told a person, Charlie, Yentumi Grandidi, but I know Charlie by Messi Bobo. Messi is incredible. The Bobo, but the thing is that whether he's good, I appreciate his skill, I appreciate his talent, but still, between him and Ronaldo, I see our 7 fans.
So yesterday it was good news for Argentina, who are making a second World Cup final in the space of 8 years. Remember they were there last
2014,
Brazil, when they lost to Germany by that long goal from Mario Götze. So they will try to improve a point another time. Well, Lionel Messi has mentioned that this World Cup is his last, so obviously you get that they are going to put everything into winning it for him.
And the guys are playing for him.
Exactly.
The goalkeeper is called
Emi Martinez.
Yes, Martinez. Solid. He's killing himself for Messi.
That's what you want to do for such a player, because looking at how he's been criticized, the news has gone about him, fans
he's not
up
been
and down.
He's not been too criticized like Ronaldo.
I know you say Ronaldo is the news, but yes, Messi is doing all he can to make sure that Argentina win that third World Cup. Yesterday, it looks as if Croatia were going to be a much tougher opposition than Argentina faced in the last round, but then it didn't happen as such, because after playing so in the early 20 minutes of the game, they succumbed to 2-0 in the first half, and then come back from the recess and then concede another goal. So I think it was all Argentina from the time that the penalty came in and then Argentina scored. It was Argentina throughout, and then you could tell that yes, this is a team that's willing to do something in the final. One positive thing I took from this game is the fact that Julian Alvarez, who is a second choice striker for Man City, was so deadly that the Croatian defense couldn't handle him.
Yeah.
At such an age, you wonder what that boy could bring in the future, because look, this is a boy who's just coming to the Premier League. He's not had enough time, but the little time he's had, he's been able to prove that he's good. He goes to the national team, benches someone like Lautaro Martinez, who's been one of Inter Milan's best players in the last 3 years, and then keeps going on and on and on. He scored 4 goals, just one behind Messi and Mbappe. It tells you that no, Argentina is not all about Messi. This time around, they've built a team that can play.
But talk about my guy, the guy who breaks everybody in the defense.
Lisandro Martinez.
Yes.
Well,
solid guy.
You want us to go the Manchester United way. He only came in the second half, and I think he brought stability to the defense.
He's a solid guy.
One thing. The only sad thing is that Luka Modric is going home, and then I'm not happy, man.
But he's playing the third place, so he's there. Croatia and Morocco and France.
Morocco and France. I think it's one that Africa will want to keep an eye on. Obviously, they've made history already by becoming the first African nation to reach the semis. But you are going into a semi-final game with France, who are the current champions of the World Cup. You want to prove yourself against the biggest team at the moment, and a team that has overcome every hurdle that they face in this competition, with the exception of another African nation, Tunisia, because France only lost to Tunisia in the other 5 games they played. So we look forward to an interesting game.
The time is 7, eh?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
This will be a semi between two African
who's your
nations.
money on?
Well, I don't have.
Who's your money? I know you want a safer competition for Argentina.
I don't want Argentina to win the tournament, but it looks like they will, sadly. Let's see how it goes, but that's how we wrap up the bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Grace, thanks for joining us. We'll meet again some other time. Do have a good morning.
For accurate